Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. In today's McDojo news, we're going to talk about why a former martial arts instructor is now facing up to 50 years in prison. Let's check out the story. A former Pittston Township karate instructor was sentenced Tuesday to 25 to 50 years in prison for the charges of sexually assaulting multiple children. According to court records, David John Williams, age 59, was a martial arts instructor in the Pittston area and was a drummer in several rock bands in the 1980s and 90s. Back in April, he pled guilty to endangering the welfare of children, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse with a person less than 16 years old, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse with a child, and aggravated indecent assault. Williams was arrested in February of 2021 when investigators searched Williams' electronic devices. They say they recovered multiple videos showing sex acts with Williams that included girls as young as 6 years old. As Judge Joseph S. Sklarowski reviewed the plea agreements on 5 separate cases, Assistant District Attorney Shauna Messinger briefly described the offenses against the women who were children when they were assaulted. During Messinger's presentation of the offenses, Williams blurted out, "I kind of had no choice," which prompted Sklarowski to pause and ask Messinger and Williams' attorney, Benjamin Stanton, if Williams understood the plea agreement. Williams pled guilty to 3 total counts of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse and 1 count each of endangering the welfare of children and aggravated indecent assault. Williams also apparently gave the underage victims alcohol and marijuana. And according to court papers, the abuse took place over years and began when the victims were 5 and 6 years old and progressed until the victims were 12 and 13. The youngest victim was 4 when Williams first assaulted her in 2007, and that continued until 2008. The earliest victim was 13 years old when she began to be assaulted by Williams back in 1995. Court findings state there were multiple sexual abuse victims that spanned over a decade. Investigators say when they interviewed the first victim, they explained Williams was a friend of a family member. The victim explained that the abuse began when she was young. She said the abuse took place at Williams' home and her home, according to the affidavit. The second victim also told investigators that Williams was a family friend. She also said that she had been a student at his karate school, which was held above the firehouse at Pittston, police said. Williams was sentenced to 25 to 50 years in state prison. As part of his sentence, he will be required to register as a sex offender for life. Let's unpack that. If you guys have been following up to this point, if not just this video, but several other videos I've covered, there is definitely a reoccurring pattern here of when the first victim or few victims comes forward, all of a sudden, all of the other victims come forward as well. And we've talked about shame and why those victims might not want to come forward to begin with. But we also talked about once the first victim does come forward, it is awesome to see that the rest feel more empowered to come forward as well. In this particular case, this gentleman had been doing this for over a decade. Over a decade that he'd been doing this for children as young as 4 years old. What a sick. It's always crazy to me as well how these people always seem to try to find a way to become the victim in all of this. You could tell that he feels like a victim in this, specifically because he blurted out, "I had no choice" when it comes to taking the plea deal. You had no choice because the police caught you with child pornography of you actually doing those acts on those children on your electronic devices. What's even crazier to me is this dude somehow, when he's caught dead to rights, was allowed some type of a plea deal. Dude, he's caught dead to rights in what he did, and he still was able to get a plea deal. Now, luckily, he's on a sex offender registry for life, which is great, but it's crazy how long this man was actually able to get away with this. I mean, Jesus, this guy was getting away with this with multiple victims for a really, really long time. And those are just the victims that we know about. Personally, I gotta say, shout out to all the victims who were able to come forward and stop this dude. I really hope that in the future we see more parents talking to their children about these types of abuse situations. So hopefully those children, as I've said in multiple videos before, feel like they can come to their parents or their guardians to speak out and know what's going on and know how to handle a situation like this. Super curious what you guys have to say about this in the comment sections below. As always, thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, and all that other crap people online tell you to do. Keep the martial arts legit.
They call themselves seafood Paul Zimmerman. You got a dojo with a strip on your cinnamon. Now she spends all day trying to break boards with the thoughts, but the young only thing she's breaking is my little heart.
Things just haven't been the same. Living strange since my baby joined that dojo. Joined a McDojo.